Good morning. It's Lisa from Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we're going to talk about change and what it takes to change your entire life for the better. So if you struggle with chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic conditions of any kind, this is the video for you. We're going to start talking about how you can change. One of the major ways that you can change is by, like I said, leaving your old identity, not really your identity, but your old story behind, and creating a new version of yourself, a person who can do this, a person who's willing to push themselves past their own comfort zone. So today I want to talk about your comfort zone and what it really is and how you can start to change it. So let's think of your comfort zone as the temperature, room temperature. This is the temperature that if you turn your air conditioner off and your heat off, your house defaults to. This is the temperature that it just defaults to. Whatever is in the current atmosphere, if you just sort of go to that temperature. Okay? So let's say it's 70 degrees. Okay? So, anyways, let's just say that's where the house defaults to. This is where you have your temperature set to. Or you don't have a temperature set, it just defaults there. So every time in every area of your life, like your finances, your relationship, your business, your social life, your relationships, your health, your diet, your lifestyle, whatever, you default to a certain comfort zone. You're comfortable here. This is what you're comfortable eating. This is where you're comfortable driving. This is who you're comfortable hanging out with. This is what you're comfortable with your daily routine. This is where you're comfortable. And sometimes we push ourselves out of our comfort zone for certain things. There's certain things going on, but then we always default to this room temperature. So what we need to do is, if we want to make it colder, we have to set our thermostat lower. And if we want to make it hotter in the room, we set our temperature gauge higher, right? And then, say it just goes to 70. Say it's a nice kind of summer day or spring day, and the room goes to 70, and that's where we're comfortable at. But say it starts to cool down at night, it's freezing, and we turn our temperature up to 72, right? Now, it will always default to that temperature. So when you raise your standards, or when you get into a new habit, when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, not just to push it out and then to come back, but to say, this is where I now want to set this at, my threshold. I used to be a person who woke up and drank coffee every morning, but now I'm a person who wakes up and drinks tea every morning. Click! We've just turned it up. Turned up your temperature. That's where you want to be. That's where you choose to be, right? But say we turned it up a little more. Now you're not the person who gets up and drinks coffee anymore, but you're the person who gets up and has a green juice every morning. Or a smoothie, right? So we just keep turning it up to where we want to be. But we have to, when we turn it up and we keep it there, that's when we don't default back to that. That is the new default. So if the temperature goes up hotter, it will come back down to the new temperature setting. Same with the air conditioning. When we turn it on, then it always defaults to the new place that we set the temperature gauge at. So how do we change our internal temperature gauge? That's the question. How do we raise our standards? How do we step out of our comfort zone? So it's very important that first you realize that you have a comfort zone, that you're living in this comfort zone, and your life is going a certain way because that is your standard, that is your comfort zone, and that is what you're allowing and not allowing into your life. So that's very important realization. First, you really have to take that in and note, I'm allowing all this and not allowing this into my life. So we're going to change that thermostat. What most people try to do is they try to change the symptom. I'm going to do this so that I eradicate the symptom. I'm going to do this so that I eradicate the pain. I'm going to do this so that I get this, right? That's not what we're doing here. We are going to change our life so that we have no more need for it, but we're not doing it just for that symptom, and then if that symptom vanished, we go back to the other thing. This is a matter of truly wanting to change your entire life to get you closer to the person that makes you the happiest, that makes you the most at peace, most connected to your own self and your reason for being here on this planet. So I'm just going to pull off the trail for COVID. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is look at our internal gauge and see where we're at, see where we're truly at in all the different areas of our life. Where do we limit ourselves? Where are we scared to move forward? Where are we hanging onto a story that is not even true anymore? Where are we protecting ourselves in our life, and can we push through that boundary and turn our temperature gauge up? So maybe you've been sick and you've been in pain and you've been suffering and you've had to let's take social life. You've had to cut your social life completely out. You've had to self-isolate. You've had to lose your connections, right? In order to keep yourself safe, in order to protect yourself, in order to care for yourself, in order to get through that time in your life when you were super sick. Now, the first thing we can do is we can ask ourselves, is that story even true anymore? Is it even true anymore? Meaning, we still have pain. Maybe you still have pain. Maybe you still have symptoms. But maybe you aren't that person anymore. Maybe you could have a social life even with pain. So, is that story even true? If you have pain, you can have no social life. Is that a true statement? Maybe not. Maybe you can have friends. Maybe you can go out. Maybe you can socialize. Maybe you can have people in. Maybe you can connect to family. Maybe you can. So a lot of times we say, I have this big thing in my life, say it's physical pain. Therefore, I can't lift things. Therefore, I can't exercise. Therefore, I can't run. Therefore, I can't socialize. Therefore, I can't have a job. Therefore, I can't go to work. Therefore, I can't interact with my children. Therefore, I can't do this, right? So it's like an excuse, and they were real, and they are valid, and they are a way that we can self-protect and take care of ourselves. But is that story even true, or is it just keeping you stuck in a very small comfort zone? Could you expand that comfort zone? Could you turn up your thermostat on that expectation and set it higher? So you want to really ask yourself and question every single part. So you want to say something like, is it true that because I have pain, I can't run? Or I can't lift that? Put it to the test. Test it out. Do it. Lift it. Run. Push yourself. Say, I want to be the type of person that runs, and I think that pain keeps me from doing that. Don't let pain keep you from doing that. Don't make the association. Just because one is true doesn't mean the other is true. So just because I have pain, does that mean I cannot have a thriving social life? Maybe at one point you believed that and you set your thermostat at that level. Well, I have pain, so I can never have friends again. Turn it way down. Is that true? Can you push it? Can you say, I want to be the type of person who has a social life, even if I have pain, right? Who cares? I'm going to learn how to be that person. Learn to be that person. Set the temperature gauge higher. I am now the type of person who can have a social life, even if I have pain. I am now the type of person who can walk or run, even if I have pain. I am now the type of person who can go to work, even if I have pain. Have you said, oh, I can't, I have to wait till I'm better, I can't, I couldn't work for an employer? Is that true? Or is that an excuse? Is that a comfort zone that you feel good living within, and you're afraid to push yourself because you're afraid to see what would really happen if you went out and got a job, for instance? And maybe you don't really want to get a job. Maybe your inner voice is saying, I don't want that. And that's stronger than the inner voice that's saying, I do want that. And so we have to find a way, and I will do a video on this, to meet both the needs of both the warring parts within so that we can set the gauge higher and we can move forward. But for now, and for today's video, I just want to tell you that you can change your entire life. You can change your entire internal life. But it starts with recognizing, that you are in a comfort zone that you have to step out of. And it starts with setting the temperature gauges on each area of your life higher, 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 defaulting them higher, and really questioning and testing and pushing each limit, each comfort zone, each temperature that you've set it at, to see if that's really a true statement, right? Breaking through those self-imposed limitations and resistances and restrictions and our temperature gauge. So we really want to look at them. We want to put them to the test, and we want to start making changes, even if we're setting it 1 degree higher, right? We can just do that. We can set it 1 degree higher. We can set it 2 degrees higher. We can set it 10 degrees higher. We can break right through that and turn the heat right up to max, or turn the air conditioning on. We can break through these boundaries, but we have to start by pushing on them. Imagine you're in a bubble. You have put yourself in this bubble of comfort zones with all these limitations around you, and we're going to push those bubbles. We're going to start to push those walls, right? We're going to push at them. See if they bend, they break. Can they be pushed further? Right? We're going to push those walls out. We're going to set the temperature gauge higher, and you absolutely have to 100% start testing them, testing your limits, creating new stories around your limits. And just saying because one thing is true doesn't necessarily mean that this is true. Because I'm a person with symptoms or pain doesn't mean I'm a person who can't work. Because I have this doesn't mean I'm a person who can't do this. We have to stop the association that we've put in place ourselves, maybe for very valid reasons, but now we have to start to break them down. If you have a chronic condition or a chronic illness, it's because you have a chronic temperature gauge that you're afraid to break through, a chronic boundary, a chronic wall that you're afraid to push through and break down now, and now is the time to do that. So we want to change our entire life, every area of our life, and to say, I can do this even though I'm sick, even though I have pain, even though I have symptoms. I can do this anyway. And we're not going to try to change the symptoms. We are going to say, I can be all that I can be, even with them. Even if I don't want them, I can still be this kind of person. And as we grow into that person that we want to become and that we will become, and that we're going to allow ourselves to take the risks and let ourselves become, we suddenly don't have the need for as many symptoms and walls and boundaries and protective mechanisms that are keeping us stuck, safe, and sick. So instead of trying to fix and change and work on the symptom, try to fix and change and work on your life. Okay? Your life, your finances, your relationships, your career, your emotions, your day-to-day, daily habits and lifestyles and hobbies. These are the things that we want to really put our focus and effort into changing, because this is where our power lies. Our power doesn't lie in changing something that we've already tried to change and keep failing. That is just reinforcing a pattern of failure. We are going to take control of the parts of our lives that we can take control of and push through the parts that we never knew we could, with or without the symptoms or the pain. That's where your power starts from, and that will take you the farthest, the fastest. So get brave, get courageous, start to really realize what's real and what's self-imposed, what's a boundary and what's created by you, what's real, what's imagined, and where that thermostat is set, and change it. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.